All right, I'm going to walk through Dragon Adventure Project here just to give you a forecast of where we're going. We're going to talk about these things in Python. I'll mention this playlist, Python Gui Apps with Kinter, briefly touch on it in Scratch. We'll go through some of these things that will be covered on the AP exam, and then we'll move right into the project. Okay. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to copy these Python topics. Okay, I'm going to copy these and I'm going to move forward. I'm going to open up REPL. Okay, so I'll create a new one and I'll just call this, I don't know, I'll just say example. I'll use a lowercase e. I'll say example 2020, today's date, and then time. Well, it is actually 2228. Okay, this is my naming convention I'm going to go through here. All right, so new project file. I'm going to go ahead and paste the things we're going to talk about, and I'll comment out each one by one. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the while loop. I'm going to assume that you have no idea what the while loop is, and we'll move on from there. Then we'll talk about the for loop. There's a different type of loop. We'll talk about the range function and how that works. We'll be moving on to infinite loops. After that, we're going to talk about the break statement, which is used inside of infinite loops to break out of it. Then I'm going to move forward with the continue statement, which is different from the break statement. And then a zero iteration loop, meaning a loop that never actually even happens. Sometimes that's by accident, most of the time it's by accident. The eighth thing is the sleep function that's available via the time module. And then we have the exit function, which is available via the sys module. Sorry, the exit function via the sys module. And then the last thing we'll talk about the dot choice function. And this is a little bit of, we haven't talked about lists in detail yet. So some of this we'll be touching briefly on it just because you can use it in the project eventually this week. Okay, so moving forward here, I'm going to talk about each. All right, so a while loop. First off, what is a loop? A loop is something that goes through over and over and over again. It can either go on forever, which is called an infinite loop or a forever loop, or it can loop through something a certain number of times. And it saves you from rewriting code, the same code over and over and over again. You're able to write a while loop or a for loop to save lines of code and to distinguish certain things. And if you're looking at, let's say you have a variable, and let's say I just call this variable, I'll call it num, okay, for like a number, and I'll set num equal, I'll assign it the value of 1, okay. Actually, no, let's assign it the value of 0. I'll assign the value of 0. We'll start with 0. All right, so I'll go ahead here and write a loop starting with a while loop, and I'll say while num is less than 5, and then add a colon. Now, before I press enter, I just want to talk about while, okay? This loop is going to run through as long as whatever number is, whatever num is, which right now is 0. If 0 is less than 5, which it is, it's going to do everything after this colon, okay, and then loop through. So while num is less than 5, I'm just going to go ahead and print out the number, okay? And like I said, I have it stored as this variable called num, okay? The last thing that I want to do is I want to increment this variable. I'm going to increment it by 1. So I'll increment it by 1. So I'll add 1 to it and assign it back to num. So a few things. Let me just walk through this. We have a variable. and we named it num, and we assigned it the value of 0. While num is less than 5, so we say, okay, num is 0, so is 0 less than 5? And it asks that question, is 0 less than 5? If yes, then print num. Okay, so print whatever that number is. So we'll print out 0 on the screen. Then I'm going to add 1 to it. Once I've added 1 to it, I'm going to go back up to the beginning again, beginning of the loop. See how this line connects everything in the loop? So I'm going to go back up here, and knowing that num is 1 now, is 1 less than 5? Yes. So we're going to print 1. Then we're going to take 1 and add 1 to it, which gives you 2. Is 2 less than 5? Yes. So we're going to print out 2 and then add 1 to it, which is 3. Is 3 less than 5? Yes. So we're going to print out 3 and then add 1 to it, which is 4. Is 4 less than 5? Yes. So we're going to print out 4 and add 1 to it to give you 5. Is 5 less than 5? The answer is no, so it doesn't run. So really the numbers that should be printed out are 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, 5 should not print out because 5 is not less than 5. Okay, and our loop ends. All right, so let's go ahead and run this. So it prints out 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like I said, I could say while it's less than 10, right? And run it again. Or I could like count by 2s, right? Instead of increment it by 1 each time, I increment it by 2 each time. So 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, right? 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so let me go back to my original example here. A few key points to notice. Okay, so this is called my increment variable. Okay, say the increment variable. I put a little comment there. This is my increment variable. My increment variable goes in here. Okay, I perform an operation to it. Sorry, I print it out, and then I perform an operation down here, and I've changed it. If I did not include this, right? Let me just go ahead and I'll comment out this line of code, right? Let's say I never add 1 to it. It just keeps giving me 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 forever until I press stop. Okay, that would be an infinite loop, but an infinite loop that I wouldn't want, right? So num plus equals 1, okay? And now I'm back to where I began. Okay, so this is an increment variable, but this is the process of incrementing the increment variable. So I'll say incrementing the increment variable, okay? In order to just help with verbiage, I'll say adding to the increment variable. All right, so we know we're going to increment it at some point. So you can say like actually incrementing the variable. You can do that. You can say that. But this takes up 4 lines of code. Okay. And really, like I could have written out, right? I could have said like print 0, print. Whoops. Right? Print 0, print 1, print 2, print 3, and print 4. Right? If I run that, right? Now, imagine that this number was like 100 though, right? That would give me a lot of numbers. And I'd be saving a lot of code by writing this while loop. So in this example, I'm not really saving many, I'm saving 1 line of code by writing this. But if this number was 100, I'd definitely be saving some space, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead here and I'm gonna put this inside a block string. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm not gonna put in a block string yet. I'm gonna go ahead and show you something. So I'll print out I'll add a blank print statement just to like separate these, right? So it says 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so I'll add another one. I'll say a blank print statement. Right, function there. Okay. The reason it's just quick and easy. All right, so if I go through this, and let's say I want to talk about a for loop. Now the while loop, right? We were able to accomplish in 4 lines of code. In this for loop, we can do the same exact thing in only 2 lines of code. And in the for loop, I'm also going to mention the range function. So I can say something like this. I can say for num, I'll use the same variable here, for num in, and I'll use this function called range, right? And I put the number that I want to go up to, not including. So if I say like 5 here, right? So for all the numbers for all the numbers up to 5, I have my colon there, colon important, right? I'll just say print num, right? So let's run this. As you see, right, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I printed out 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then down here, my for loop, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I want you to note that, what we were able to accomplish in 4 lines of code, we were able to accomplish in 2 lines. Now let's break this down, okay? So for starts off my loop, okay? Then I have my variable here, right? So it's basically saying, all right, so for this number in, and then you pick the range, all right? You can say range is 10, right? And if I run it, goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it stops before it gets to 10, okay? You could say 100, you could say any number you want, right? Something to notice about the range function, something cool you can use in the range function too, right? I'll add a comment here, right? Inside range, you can pass a few different items, right? You can pass either you can pass the start, right? You can pass the stop and the step. Okay, 3 S's. All right. So as I go through this, right, I can pass in. Let's say I want to start at 2. Or no, start at 1, right? And I want it to stop at. Let's say I just want to print out 1 to 10, so we'll stop at 11. And let's say I want to move up by 2s, right? So that's what step is. When you think step is like is counting by a number. Okay, so counting by 2s. I'll go ahead and print this out here. And of course now it's acting slow. All right, so here's what I got. Right, so it starts at 1, goes up to 11, and it counts up by 2s. So start, stop, step inside range. So I have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay, so that gives me those adds by 2s. Now, if you want to say something like, I don't know, I want to move up to, let's say, I want to go up to 100, counting by 5s. Range function allows me to do that, right? Oh, here we go. I guess I'll start it at 0, right? 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, all the way up. Doesn't include 100, but goes up to 100. Okay, it stops there. Counting by 5s. And remember, if you only pass this 1, okay, let's say you only pass 1 argument in here, only pass this 5, right, and run it, okay, it just counts up to that number, all right? So you can use the 3, you can pass it 3 arguments, or you can pass it just the 1 argument there, all right? So, 3 different ways of doing the same thing. You can write it in a while loop. You can print everything out, which could save you, like if I were to say, I don't know, this is still, I don't know, add this to 20, right? And then in this one, I'll do 20 and I'll run it, right? So all the way up to 19, this one goes up to 4, right? And this one goes up to 19. If I were to print these numbers all the way up to 19, right, I would use 20 lines of code, which would not be good. I can save it in 4 lines of code, or even better, save it in 2 lines of code. Now, we're not going to go into detail of for loops. You're not going to use for loops in this project, probably. You don't have to. But for loops are really good with lists. And when we move on and start talking more about lists, we're going to be using for loops. Okay, for loops are very powerful and can allow you to do a lot of really cool things. Okay, and we'll talk about nested loops, loops inside of loops. All right, so we have our for loop, we have a while loop, we have a for loop. Talk about the range function. Let's talk about infinite loops. So now I'm going to go ahead and create my block string, right? Whoops. And the reason I'm creating this block string is just so I can push it down below here, and I'll go ahead and leave this file in the video description so that way you guys can check it out if you want to. All right, so I'll clean it up before I post it too, but it's just a way to put it down there and out of our view, so we're not looking at this whole time. All right, so infinite loops. Yeah, a common way of writing a forever loop or infinite loop in Python is to be able to write a while true loop, right? So if I say like print hello while true and I run it, it will just keep saying hello over and over and over again forever. So I'll stop that, right? So print hello. Why does this work? Well, it says while true, and at no point do I ever say false, right? At no point does it say, hey, stop this. So while true will run forever and ever and ever, and we can use this to our advantage, right? So that's a while true loop, and it'll just go on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Now, we can break out of this loop, okay? And I'll give you a perfect example here. Let's go ahead and say, I'll say, welcome to Mr. Manza's PB&J shop. I feel like I gotta come up with a name for it. I've been joking around in class saying I'm gonna create my own peanut butter and jelly food truck. I'll just call it, I know what I'll call it. I'll say, welcome to Danza's PB&J. Danza's PB&J. Danza's. I like it without the apostrophe. I'll just leave it like that. Danza's. So people can call Danza's. Danza's PB&J. Right? Welcome. And that will be the name of the restaurant. Perfect, right? So I have this restaurant, and to give you some backstory, my favorite snack and my favorite lunch is peanut butter and jelly. So there's probably one food I could have for the rest of my life, probably peanut butter and jelly. I like peanut butter and jelly. I survived off peanut butter and jelly and spaghetti for a very long time in my life. So in my PB&J, in Danza's PB&J, okay, we're going to have different types of jelly. We're going to have grape, we're going to have strawberry, we're going to have blackberry, raspberry. We'll have the preserves, we'll have jam, we'll have jelly, and then we'll have different types of peanut butter. We'll have crunchy peanut butter, we'll have almond butter, we'll have Nutella, we'll have all these different options, right? And then you can have it toasted, you can get banana on it, right? So it's definitely going to happen, right? So print welcome to Danza's PB&J, right? And I'll say something like, I don't know, I'll ask them, what they want to eat, right? And I'll go ahead and use my input function. I'll say, what would you like? I should probably give them like a menu, right? Print out. I'll say print. We have PB and, oh, you do it lowercase. We have PB and J, cookies, and coffee. That's all we got on the menu for today, right? So what would you like? All right. So if you say something like, what would you like? I'll go ahead and add in here, if food is equal to PB and J, or cookies, or food is equal to cookies, or food is equal to, I guess coffee is food here, right? Coffee, if it's one of these things, right, then I'll say we have that here. Today, you can have it for free. Not going to make any money here in my restaurant, right? And then I'll break out of the forever loop, right? And notice I just wrote break, and I'll explain what that does in a second here. Right? I said else, and I'll say we don't have that. Let me just finish writing this code here, and then I'll go back and explain. After the while loop's over, I'll say thanks for coming. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so let me explain this. All right, I'm going to print out, welcome to Dan's PB&J shop. Print, we have peanut butter and jelly, cookies, and coffee. What would you like? And if you say peanut butter and jelly, if you say cookies, or you say coffee, I'm going to print out we have that. Today, you can have it for free. I don't know who's working my peanut butter and jelly shop here, but they definitely need to be careful giving away free stuff. And then what we're going to do is, I wrote this thing called break, right? That's my break statement. And the break breaks you out of the loop, okay? If it's none of these, else, anything else, we're going to print we don't have that. And we're going to start back over again at the beginning of the while true loop, okay? I'll say, if we are able to break out, it'll say, thanks for stopping by. So I'll run it, right? Welcome to Dan's PB&J. We have peanut butter and jelly, cookies, and coffee. What would you like? Cookies. We have that. Today you can have it for free. Thanks for stopping by. Right? What would you like? Let's say I want a hot dog. Right? We don't have that. And then it repeats all over again. So maybe I should add maybe I should put this outside of my forever loop, just so that way it doesn't repeat it all over again, right? I'll just have that a one-time thing. Welcome. What would you like? I want a burger. We don't have that. We have peanut butter, jelly, cookies, and coffee. What would you like? I'm still gonna say I want some ramen. We don't have that. We have peanut butter and jelly, cookies and ramen. Cookies and coffee. I'll say coffee. Right, we have that. Today you can have it for free. Thanks for stopping by. So notice the break statement breaks me out of my loop, right? So I'll say breaks out of loop and keeps going through program. Okay, so added my comment there. So that's what the break statement does. All right, so that's my example of a break statement. And I'm going to create a block string here. That was a good example. And we'll move that down out of the way, and we'll deal with it later. Okay, so there's my other block string from before. All right, so now we'll talk about the continue statement. Let's say I have a program here, and I'll say, I'll ask for a username, right? So I'll ask input, and I'll say enter your username. All right, and then I'll continue this, and let's say if username is equal to Mr. Danza, then I'll print out, I'll ask another question, and I'll ask for the password. How about that? I'll ask a question, I'll say enter your password. All right, and let's go ahead here and say if password is equal to password 123. Definitely not my password, but I'll print out login successful. Okay, and then once I do that, maybe I'll add a loop. Maybe I'll do that. I'll say while true, so that way they're stuck in there, right? And I'll go ahead and break you out of the loop. Now, let me just move out all the way to the else here, okay? Else, if the username isn't Mr. Danza, right? I'll print something out and say password incorrect, right? And then I'm going to use something called the continue statement. I'll explain what that does in a second once I write this one too, right? So if I say else, or that's not password incorrect, that's username incorrect, right? And this one I'll print out, say print password incorrect. All right, so and then I'll add a continue statement. Let me explain what I just did, all right? So we talked about break, where break breaks me out of the loop. And I'll say something like, here is all of your files and personal information. All right, let's say you have to get to that point. That's your goal. All right, so while true, I'm going to loop through this, my forever loop. Input, enter your username. And I'm going to store that as a username, whatever value you put in. If your username is Mr. Danza, right, I'm going to continue. If it's not Mr. Danza, I'm going to print username incorrect. And what this continue statement does is, now I don't like the name. If I were Guido van Rossum, the guy that invented Python, I would have named it maybe return, right? Or restart, returns to beginning of loop, right? So continue just means hey, we're continuing the loop. We're going to return back to the beginning of the loop. Start right from the beginning, okay? So, and as you see here too, this returns to beginning of loop, right? Now the break, right? That breaks me out of the loop, breaks out of loop. All right, so let's just run this. Enter your username. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add new line, right? And I'll add new line here too, so I can write it below it. Rerun it. Enter your username, Mr. Danza. Enter your password, and I'll just say password 123. Logging successful. Here's all your personal information. All right, now let's say I run it, enter your username, and I just say like JDams, right? Username is incorrect, and then it takes me all the way, right? It says username is incorrect and continues back to the top of the loop. I just keep going through, right? So username is incorrect. And let's see, enter username. I could say something like Danza. Username incorrect. Enter username. I'll say Mr. Danza, right? Enter password. Now, if I type in my password wrong, let's say I just say PW123, password incorrect, and brings me back to the username, right? So rather than writing a loop inside of a loop, I can save some writing of code by using continue. Instead of writing two loops and looping through the password over and over and over again, I've used continue, and that sends me back to the top of the loop. Okay, so as long as I'm like typing wrong stuff in here, right, it's going to keep going through and doing that. So if I say like Mr. Danza and finally type in the right password, password 123, it says login successful. Here is all of your files. Here are all of your files. Here are all of your files. Yeah, proper English, right? So what did we learn here? We learned about the continue statement. That continue just returns to the beginning of the loop or restarts the loop. Okay. Now, like I said, maybe I would have named it continue because that kind of makes me think, oh, I'm going to continue on down. No, that's not what it does. It doesn't continue down. It continues the loop. All right. So that's that. I'm going to go ahead here and create another block string. And I'll move this down out of the way. We'll worry about it later. All right. So that was my continue statement. The seventh thing I want to talk about here is zero iteration loop. Okay, so a zero iteration loop is a loop that never actually iterates, which means it never actually happens. Nothing actually happens in the loop. So if I were to like go back to my previous example here, I created a variable called num, right? And I assigned the value to 0. And I said while num is less than 5, then go ahead and print num. Right? And then after I printed num, I incremented it by 1. Right? Let's say I go ahead and run this. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That incremented, that moved through the loop. But let's say I accidentally write this. Where num is greater than 5. I mess up the symbol. Instead of writing a less than symbol, I write a greater than symbol. If I look at this, if I assign 0 then to the value to the variable num, right? I do while 0 is greater than 5. Is 0 greater than 5? No, it's not. So this will never happen. Nothing that goes through here will ever happen. So if I were to run this, right, nothing happens. And let's say, I don't know, I say print you have successfully finished the loop. I don't know, let's print that out. If I run it, it says you have successfully printed the loop, but nothing prints out, right? So a zero iteration loop might be kind of a mistake sometimes. Like, I don't know, you forgot to put it that way. A less than symbol. And there you go. Okay, so in a zero iteration loop, it never actually happens. It never actually iterates. So that's my example of a zero iteration loop. Okay. These next three things I'm going to talk about, they're going to involve importing modules, right? So I'll just review that. Okay, whenever you want to import a module, First off, like someone asked, like, what is a module? A module is already someone went through and wrote a bunch of code for you to make things easier for you. And rather than writing a bunch of code, you can just import modules that do a lot of cool things for you. And if you know which module, if you know the right module to use, you can be pretty successful, right? You can save a lot of time and a lot of code. So let's say I want to just like go slowly through something, or I want to wait a couple seconds before executing the next line of code. I can use something called the sleep function, which can be found in the time module. So let's import time. So import time. Okay. So I don't know, let's print something out here and say, welcome to Danza's PB&J. Right? And then I'll print it and say, I used to be a teacher. I'll print something else and I'll say, but now I own a restaurant. I don't know. This, like I said, this is just to be funny. And I run it. Of course, now it's going to take forever. And this is the problem. One of the problems of using REPL. Sometimes it takes a few minutes to figure things out. Here we go. Welcome to Danza's PB&J. I used to be a teacher. Now I own a restaurant. You notice how it just like showed up all at once? Let's say I wanted to like add some suspense to it, right? I can use the time module and say time dot sleep. Notice how it already shows up here. Inside parentheses, I pass an argument of how many seconds. So if I say I want to sleep for 2 seconds, and I'll do the same thing here. I'll say time dot sleep. I'll add another 2 seconds in there. Watch this. I used to be a teacher, but now I'm in a restaurant. See how it waited and didn't just throw it on the screen all at once? So I want to wait like 5 seconds here. Welcome to Danza's PB&J. 3, 4, 5. I used to be a teacher, but now I own a restaurant. Okay, so you can add this sleep function, okay, that goes through and it'll wait a certain number of seconds. We're going to use this in our project eventually when we get to that point. All right, so this is how you would use the sleep function using the time, using the time module. I'm also going to import, I don't know, let's import sys, okay? Move on to the exit function, right? So to go back to our previous example, I'll ask them a question, what kind of food they want, right? I'll say, what kind of food do you want? I don't know, I'll add like a while true loop, right? Let's go ahead and just do that. And I'll throw this up here. What kind of food do you want? And I'll say if food is equal to PB and J, I'll just print out, great, we have the best PB&Js in town. And then I'll just break out of the loop, right? And then anything else, any other food that you mention, I'll be offended. I'll be like, we don't serve that here. And then I'll say, you need to leave. And then you get escorted out, right? So I'll print like, my bodyguards, or my security, that's what I mean. Security escorts you out. Okay. And then I'm going to add something in here. I'm going to say sys.exit, right? And that will break you out of there. And then at the end, I'll say hand you your food after you pay this time, right? And then I'll end with, I'll print out, have a nice day. So get this. The thing I really want to show you is what sys.exit is and the difference between sys.exit and break. All right, so if I run this, right, welcome to Dan's PB&J, 5 seconds. I used to be a teacher, but now I own a restaurant. What kind of food do you want? If I just say like PB&J, great, we have the best PB&Js in town. Hand you your food after you pay. Have a nice day. All right, so that went through, and notice the break statement that we talked about broke you out of the forever loop and continued the program. Now watch this. Welcome to Dan's PB&J. I used to be a teacher, but now I own a restaurant. What kind of food do you want? Let's say, I don't know, I want some sort of fish, right? We don't serve that here. You need to leave. Security escorts you out. And then it says REPL process died unexpectedly. So literally it just kicks you out of the program. It says, look, just end everything, right? And it ends everything unexpectedly. So notice that none of this code actually ran. So the difference between break and sys.exit, right? This just breaks you out of loop, right? Sys.exit, right? That like ends the entire program. Okay, so just throw it out there. That's the difference between the two of them, just in case you were wondering. And let's see. The last thing I'm going to talk about, I'm going to go ahead here. Here, I'll do this. Go ahead and talk about the choice function inside the random module. But do know, we haven't really talked a lot about lists, and this does involve a list. So I'm going to import random. I've already talked about random.randint before, but now we're going to talk about random.choice. So I don't know, let's say I create a list called RPS, and inside that list I put rock, and then I put paper, and then I put scissors. Okay, and let's say I'll store a variable called CPU choice. I'll create a variable called CPU choice, and I'll use random.choice, and I'll pass it in my list. My list is RPS. Okay. And at the very end, I'll print whatever the computer chose. So let me just walk you through this real quick, and maybe I'll clean that up a little bit. So I imported the random module. I create a list called RPS, and inside that list, I put rock, put paper, and put scissors. We'll talk more about lists next week, but this is just rock, paper, scissors. So RPS. I'm going to pick a random value in rock, paper, scissors. Notice it's not randint, it's a value. Okay, and then I'm going to print that out. So let's go ahead and run it. Rock, rock, scissors, paper, paper, scissors, 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 paper. And it'll keep going through and selecting a random choice every single time. If you ever were wondering how to make your own rock, paper, scissors game, this is the first step. Okay, so this is important. You can use this in your project for this week, You can use this. You can use a random integer. I'll discuss more about it when we finally get to the project. But I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to mention it. You can always like Google search like the random module in Python. You can find a lot of cool things, or even just any module, right? I need to find a module that does this. There's a good chance that someone already wrote code for it somewhere, right? So just walking back through everything. We have the while loop, the for loop, the difference between the two, the range function, which we use in the for loop. Infinite loops are also called forever loops. Okay, the break statement broke out of the loop and went back to, well, break out of loop, right? The continue statement goes back to top of loop. Okay, I'll say returned, goes back. I'll say returns. Zero iteration loop. The zero iteration loop never runs. Okay, the sleep function, like I mentioned, it's just you add a certain number of seconds inside sleep right there. Exit kicks you out of everything. Dot choice takes in a list. I'll go ahead and clean this up and make it look nice for you guys. How about that? Okay, like I said, I'll go ahead and include this code in the description, video description. Okay, a couple more. Pull that up there. And pull that there. All right, last one. All right. So those are all the block strings and different examples that I used today. All right. So moving on. Okay. I talked about these topics in Python. Now moving on, this says Python Gui Apps with tkinter. What in the world is a Gui app? Okay, we're going to start creating Gui apps in the next project. But rather than have you guys watch a bunch of videos next week, I'm going to have you guys watch a bunch of videos this week to kind of get familiar with it beforehand. So even though you're not using tkinter in this project, these are a bunch of videos. And if you click on this link right here, I create a bunch of videos for you, right? And you're not watching all of them, right? Just watch up until where it says the .configure method, okay? That's all you really need. Watch up to the .configure method. And then next week, we'll pick up from there, or in the next project. So watch these videos, okay? And I'm not going to talk about them in this project because we really don't use any of the stuff in this project. We're going to be using it in the next project, but just get a head start and watch those videos because next week you're going to have more videos to watch, right? In Scratch, how do I create a while loop? Well, if you look between a while loop and a for loop, even though for loops were less code in Python, in Scratch, this is my rendition of a for loop. A lot more blocks, right? They kind of want you to use this while loop, right? Even though it doesn't say while, just repeat, and it says how many times you repeat through, okay? So that's how you would repeat or repeat until. Your while loop, your infinite loop moves on forever and ever and ever. And then to end a script, you can say stop this script. To end the entire project, like a sys.exit, that would be stop all. Okay. Iteration. Okay. It says the way statements are sequenced and combined in a program determines the computed result. Programs incorporate iteration, which means like it loops through, and selection constructs. Trying to use big words on us. To represent repetition and make decisions to handle varied input values. Okay. I guarantee they spent way too much time writing these definitions, right? I'll break it down for you. Express an algorithm that uses iteration without using a programming language. Okay. Iteration is a repeating portion of an algorithm, like our loops, right? It repeats a step over and over and over again. iteration repeats a specified number of times or until a given condition is met. Okay, like in our for loop, it went through a certain number of times, all right? And then in our while loop, it went through until a condition was met, okay? So you can play around with it. It says for iteration, and I said loops, write iteration statements and determine the result or side effect of iteration statements. This is just like a header. And then iteration statements change the sequential flow of control. That just means like if I were looking at my code and going down like line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5, line 6, that's just a sequential flow. But iteration makes me like if I go line 3, line 4, line 3, line 4, line 3, line 4, and keep going back and forth and looping through a certain number of times, it goes 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then maybe then I do 9, 10, 11, 9, 10, 11, 9, 10, 11. It loops through those lines of code. It's just saying that iteration statements change the sequential flow of just going down by repeating a set of statements 0 or more times until a stopping condition is met, okay? Until you're either broken out of that forever loop or a certain condition is met, a certain number of times have occurred. So repeat a certain number of times, I would consider that to be more like a for loop, right? And repeat until, I feel like it'd be more like a while loop, okay? And then moving on, what did I say? I added a couple things in here. Any comments? Okay. In repeat until condition, okay, an infinite loop occurs while the ending condition will never evaluate to true. Meaning it's going to loop through over and over and over and over and over again, okay? That's also called a forever loop, keeps going on forever, my infinite loop, while true in Python. In a repeat until condition iteration. Oh, by the way, this is the way you're going to see it on the AP exam. Repeat a certain number of times, or repeat until. Okay, repeat until condition iteration. If the conditional evaluates to true initially, the loop body is not executed at all, thus our zero iteration loop. Right? There's a reason why we talk about these things. Due to the condition being checked before the loop. Okay. Like I said, like if we never actually entered into the loop because x was, if we set, I think we use num, right? Num, if num is greater than 5 and num started off as 0, it never even entered the loop, right? Developing algorithms, right? Algorithms are sets of step-by-step directions that are broken down and can be followed and can be repeated. Okay, and you're able to create algorithms, and other people are able to create algorithms. You can search online for certain algorithms, and once you write an algorithm, you might be able to use it in other programs because now you know how to write the algorithm. So it says the way statements are sequenced and combined in a program determines the computer result. Programs incorporate iteration, loops, right? And selection constructs, still using these words, to represent repetition and make decisions to handle varied input values. All right, let's talk about what does this mean, right? What does this mean? Compare multiple algorithms to determine if they yield the same side effect or result. Okay, some facts about algorithms. Okay, algorithms can be written in different ways and still accomplish the same tasks all the time. Even as I teach, even throughout the day, I might write something one way, and then like in the next class, like an hour later, write it the same algorithm, entirely different, right? But it can still accomplish the same task. I know if you were to write a program and I was to write a program, right, your program might accomplish the same exact thing as mine, but yours look entirely different by the way you write your code. Algorithms that appear similar can yield different side effects or results. Some conditional statements can be written as equivalent Boolean expressions, true or false. Some Boolean expressions, true or false, can be written as equivalent conditional statements. They just like flip-flop those two. Different algorithms can be developed or used to solve the same problem all the time. Next, for algorithms, create algorithms and combine and modify existing algorithms. Algorithms can be created from an idea by combining existing algorithms or by modifying existing algorithms. Basically said the same exact thing twice. Okay. Knowledge of existing algorithms can help in constructing new ones. Okay. If you know the algorithm of how to determine whether a number is an even number, thus, if you're finding the modulus of a number and the modulus is 0, right? If you're saying 4 modulus 2, right, or whatever that number is, modulus 2, if the modulus is equal to 0, thus the remainder, then you know it's an even number. Okay, if you're dividing by 2 and the modulus is 0, then the number is even. If it's not, then it's odd. That's an algorithm that exists. My knowledge of that can help construct new ones. I don't know one in that specific case, but the more that you know, like how to write these algorithms and how to write your code, the easier things are going to get. Some existing algorithms include determining, here you go, identifying if an integer is or is not evenly divisible by another integer, okay, using modulus. Determining the maximum or minimum value of 2 or more numbers. Computing the sum or average of 2 or more numbers. Determining a robust path through a maze. These are all algorithms that can exist and we can modify. Using existing correct algorithms as building blocks. Using what other people have successfully done or using what you've successfully done in the past for constructing another algorithm has benefits such as reducing development time, less time actually writing your program, reducing testing, less time getting things wrong and debugging, and simplifying the identification of errors, right? Noticing that, hey, look, like I know it can't be anything in this algorithm because this all ran perfectly in my last program or ran perfectly over here in this procedure, this function, right? This all ran right here. It must be something wrong in the other part of the code. So there's that. Okay. All right, finally getting into our Dragon Adventure project. All right, the moment we've been waiting for. You will create a game in this project called Dragon Adventure. As the player, you are a treasure hunter who lives in a world full of dragons. In this world, dragons live in caves, guarding treasure. Upon entering a cave, the player sees 2 tunnels, one that leads to the treasure and the other that leads to a hungry dragon ready to eat you. All right, so let's just wrap our minds around this. So you live in a world and you're a dragon hunter. Not a dragon hunter, you're a treasure hunter. Dragon hunter. That's too brave. And you walk in this cave, right? And all these dragons live in caves. And you walk in a cave and you can decide whether to go in one tunnel or the other. In one tunnel, the dragon's going to be hungry and eat you. And the other tunnel, there's treasure waiting for you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make this game. Create a Dragon Adventure game in Python. All right, so I'll leave that code open. Open a new REPL here. And I'm going to call this Dragon Adventure. And I'll put the date is the 1st, and I'll put it is late. It is almost midnight. And I'll create this REPL. All right, so I want to make this Dragon Adventure game. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'll say print, and I'll just say like Dragon Adventure, and then I'll say created by Mr. Danza. Run it, right? Dragon Adventure, created by Mr. Danza. Maybe I'll even import time, right? Here you go. Import time, and I'll say like time.sleep. I'll have it sleep for 2 seconds. Okay, Dragon Adventure, created by Mr. Danza. Awesome. 1 second. No, I'll have to sleep for 2 more seconds after that. All right, so let's look at this project. What do I want this project to do? All right, so create a Dragon Adventure game. Welcome the player to the game. All right, so I'll welcome. I'll say welcome to, what's a good name for like a land? I don't know why my first thought went to Narnia, right? Welcome to welcome to Dan's land, right? No, that's too corny, right? Let's say, I don't know. Welcome to, I'm trying to think of a good name. I don't know, I'll just start typing letters out and maybe something will like stick. Arwalls. Welcome to Arwalls. Sure, that's the name of my land, right? My name is Harry. I don't know why I said Harry. I was thinking like Harry Potter, right? And I'll say time.sleep. All right, hold on for 1 second. I'm going to start telling the story. Maybe I'll ask what the user's name is first. Say, what's your name? I'll say player name. Create a variable called player name, right? And then I'll say something like, maybe I'll just interrupt you right away. Say, not so loud. And then I'll say your name. And then maybe I'll say time.sleep. They may hear you. Time.sleep. 1 second. I'll print. Let's go to a safe place. Go to a safe place. I'll say there are some things I need to fill you in on. Print. There are some things I need to tell you about. So let's run to it right now. Dragon Adventure, created by Mr. Danza. Welcome to Arwalls. My name is Harry. What's your name? And I'm already going to say, I'm already going to change this and add the next line here, right? Dragon Adventure, created by Mr. Danza. And I'm already going to change this too. All right, I'm going to add a new line. Welcome to Arwalls. My name is Harry. What's your name? Question mark. My name is so loud, Mr. Danza. They may hear you. Let's go to a safe place. There's something that I need to tell you about. All right, and I sleep for 3 seconds. All right, and I'll say something like, okay. we're good now. And then I'll say something like print up ahead there are caves. And this is where I tell the story, right? I tell a story, like if you look at like the welcome the player, tell a story leading up to the cave, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and tell a story. So up ahead there are several caves. In our walls. Dragons. And maybe I'll say in each cave there is treasure. In each cave there is treasure. And I'll say time.sleep 2 seconds. But there are also, I'll say, but dragons guard. Say, but dragons also live inside of caves. So we have to be very careful. Say something like, many of my friends have been eaten by dragons. Many of my friends have been eaten by dragons. And I'll say something like, input will you help me? And then I'll say play game. I'll create a variable called play game. Okay, and I'll say like if input, if play game first, let me do this. I'll convert play game to lower and assign it back to the play game variable. Okay, so I'll say if play game is equal to yes, print okay, let's do this. And then I'll say like elif if play game is equal to no, we'll say well then get out of here before it's too late. And then I'll just say player name ran away scared. And I'll also say sys.exit. I'll import sys. And the game will end there, right? Or I can say else print maybe I'll add this into a while true loop. How about that? Do that, and then I'll break out if you say yes, sys.exit if you say no, and then if I don't understand your response, I'll just say I don't understand, and I'll just say continue. So running through this so far, dragging that here, create by this and welcome to our walls. My name is Harry. What's your name? I'll just use my first name, Josh. I'm so loud, Josh. They may hear you. Let's go to a safe place. There's some things I need to tell you about. Okay, we're good for now. We're good now. Up ahead, there are several caves. In each cave, there is treasure. But dragons also live inside caves, so you have to be careful. Many of my friends have been eaten by dragons. Will you help me? And I'm going to add this line there, right? I'll say yes. Okay, let's do this. All right, and we'll continue through here. All right, so that's where I got so far. All right, so now we're about to reach a cave, right? So I'll say time.sleep. And then down here, I'll go ahead and I'll say, well, true. I see a cave. And then I'll say, like, should we go in or run or go back? And I'm going to say, composer, stay or go. Okay. And say something like, if stay or go. I'm trying to think of should we go in? Should we go in? I'll call this variable go in. How about that? If go in is equal to yes, right? Say, okay. And I'll just go ahead and break out of this. Okay. And I'll say if go in is equal to maybe I'll just say else. else. I'll ask another question, and I'll say, should we go home? And I'll call this variable go home. Go home. If go home is equal to yes, then we're going to say okay, let's leave. Okay, and then you can say and I'll do say something like Harry and player name ran home. All right, so print I see a cave, and then I'll say time.sleep. I'll add a couple of seconds in there. Should we go in? If yes, then break. Else, I won't add they ran home. Okay, let's say this. Should we go home? Should we go in? Yes. Else, should we go home? Maybe I'll say, all right, so if go home is equal to yes, say, okay, let's leave. So if go home, else print let's just look for another cave. All right, and I'll go ahead here and I'll say time.sleep, 2 seconds. Say add this in here, 2 here. Go home. Okay, let's leave, and I'll just say sys.exit. Okay, let's just look for another cave. Okay, continue. Should we go in? If else. Okay, got it. So far we've gotten to the point where we're about to go in this cave here. Okay. So I'll add another loop. So far we've gotten to I see a cave. Should we go in? If yes, okay. Then we're gonna keep going. So we're gonna go into this cave and we'll say something like there are 2 tunnels. I'll print Oh, maybe, should we go in? Yes. I'll just go ahead, maybe I'll just stay in here. I'll just stay in this loop for a while. How about that? So if go in is yes, all right, we'll go ahead and say print there are 2 tunnels. And then I'll add dot sleep, 2 seconds. Say one has a dragon. One will lead to a hungry dragon. And then I'll say other will lead us to treasure. All right, so we've gotten up to this point. And I'll say, all right, this is where I'll say, where should we go, right or left? Should we go right or left? So we've been waiting to get to this point, okay? So we're going to decide which tunnel do I want to go in. Do I want to go right or left, right? So I'll say right, or maybe I'll say direction. That's easier. Okay, so direction is either right or left. So we're going to have to pick a random, each time we're going to pick a random tunnel, or a random cave to go into, okay? A few things I want to do ahead of time. Right, before I enter this cave, I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to set my gold equal to 10. This is just me. I'm doing this separate, like I'm adding on to my game already. I'm going to do it differently than the project description. I'm still going to accomplish everything that I need to. But I'm going to say my goal. I'm going to go in there already with 10 gold coins in my pocket. And what I'm going to do is every single time I go into the cave, every time I go into a cave, I'm going to be keeping track of how much gold I'm going to be getting, right? And if I meet a dragon, then I will have the option to pay off that dragon. If I don't have enough coins, then the dragon will eat me. Let's just say that's the point of the game start. All right, so should we go left or right? Okay, so whichever way I say. Okay, so I'll go ahead and create a random number, right? Let's just do that. Import random. Import random. Right, so I'll say random.rand int, maybe 1 or 2. And I'll say, I'll call this, say bad tunnel. Say the bad tunnel, assign a value to 1 or 2. Okay, so if I choose the bad tunnel, then it's going to say whatever. If I don't choose so if it's right, I'm going to assign it that value. So let me just think through this really quick. So should we go right or left? Okay, the direction that I choose. And let's say maybe I'll create a list, right? Maybe out here I'll create a list, right? And I'll say house and have a left tunnel, and I'll have a right. Right, so there's my list. So maybe I'll do this. I'll say, should we go left or right? And the bad tunnel is going to be one of these tunnels, right? Okay. So we'll say, let me just think through the logic here really quick. If direction is the same value as the bad tunnel, then print out something like, oh no, there's a dragon in this tunnel. Okay. And I can maybe say, I'll create a variable called payment. Okay, and I'll select a random number, not rand int, this will be rand choice, random.choice, random.int, and it'll be a number 1 to 10. Okay, if it's a bad tunnel, oh no, there's a dragon in this tunnel, and then I'll say something like, the dragon wants, and then I'll concatenate this, gold coins, and I'll say print, we have, and how many gold coins we have. Right? So, and then I can say like gold is, I'll subtract and assign it the value of the payment. Okay. If gold is less than 0, then I'll print out, we don't have enough. I'll say like, oh no. Maybe I'll add like time.sleep. I'm lazy about adding them in there. Time.sleep. Name was eaten by the dragon. I wonder what it doesn't like. Player name. And I'll say sys not exit. Okay, it'll kick me out. Okay. All right, moving forward, else, I'm going to say else if I'll say else if else, we don't just say else, right? It's just a good tunnel, right? So I'll say my time.sleep up here. Time.sleep. I'll add 2 seconds. Time.sleep. I'll add 2 seconds. All right, so that's the bad tunnel. So if we got the good tunnel, say time.sleep 2 seconds. Say there's treasure in this tunnel. Time.sleep 2 seconds. And then I'll say I'll create a variable called treasure, right? Do I already have a variable called treasure? I'll say I already have a variable called treasure in here somewhere, right? So maybe I'll say random.rand int 1 to 10, and I'll just say like coins, and then I will say something like print there are and then I'll add the number of coins. And then I'll add coins to whatever our coin total already was. So I'll say gold plus equals coins. I'll say print. We now have this much gold. We now have this much gold. Okay. And I'll say time.sleep 2 seconds. Why would I want to break out of here? I don't think I want to break out of here. Let's look at this. All right, just gonna do my code real quick. And this should else run through here. And then I'm going to continue, start back over again. And I said, maybe I'll say something like, let's keep going. Famous last words, right? All right, let's just see where I'm at here. I've written 102 lines of code. Let's just try and run it. Dragon Adventure, created by Mr. Danza. Welcome to our walls. My name is Harry. What's your name? Mr. Danza. Shh, not so loud, Mr. Danza. They may hear you. Let's go to a safe place. There are some things I need to tell you about. Okay, we're good now. Up ahead, there are several caves. In each cave, there is treasure. But dragons also live inside of caves, so we have to be very careful. Many of my friends have been eaten by dragons. Will you help me? Yes. Okay, let's do this. I see a cave. Should we go in? Yes. There are two tunnels. One will lead to a hungry dragon. The other will lead us to treasure. Should we go left or right? Right. There's treasure in this tunnel. There are, oh my goodness, concatenation error. Of course. We have, alright, there are, alright, so let me start looking at this. Alright. I need to convert that to a string. I need to convert that to a string. I need to convert that to a string. And I need to convert that to a string. Alright. Goodness gracious. All that time leading up to that. I'll just leave this up here. Alright. What's your name? Mr. Danza. Alright, now slow Danza. They may hear you. Let's go to a safe place. There are some things I need to tell you about. Okay, we're good now. Up ahead, there are several caves. In each cave, there is treasure. Dragons also live inside of caves, so we have to be very careful. Many of my friends have been eaten by dragons. Will you help me? Yes. Okay, let's do this. See a cave. Should we go in? Yes. There are two tunnels. One will lead to a hungry dragon. The other will lead us to treasure. Should we go left, right, or left? I'm going to go down here and say, should we go right or left? I'm going to add this next line next time. Let's say right. There's treasure in this tunnel. There are 4 gold coins. We now have 14 gold. Let's keep going. I see a cave. Should we go in? Yes. There are 2 tunnels. One will lead to a hungry dragon. The other will lead us to treasure. Should we go right or left? Let me say right. There's treasure in this tunnel. There are 4 gold coins. We now have 18 gold. Let's keep going. I see a cave. Should we go in? Yes. There are 2 tunnels. So if I get 4 gold coins by going right, there's a problem. Right. There's treasure in this tunnel. 3 gold coins. Okay, alright. We now have 21 gold. Let's keep going. If I got 4 gold coins again, then there's probably a problem. Should we go in? Yes, I'm trying to find a dragon. There are 2 tunnels. One will lead to a hungry dragon, the other will lead us to treasure. Should we go right or left? Let's keep going right. I'm lucky. There's treasure in this tunnel. There are 10 gold coins. We now have 31 gold. Let's keep going. Alright, let's keep going. I probably wrote something wrong here, but let's keep going. Should we go in? Yes. There are 2 tunnels. One will lead to a hungry dragon, the other will lead us to treasure. Should we go right or left? Let me just look at my code real quick. Make sure I didn't do something wrong. Alright, I'll say right again. I'm waiting for this dragon to pop up. There's treasure in this tunnel. There are 9 gold coins. Dude, I'm just hitting the jackpot. I may have did something where you never get the dragon. Should we go in? Yes. There are 2 tunnels. Alright, if I don't get a dragon this time, then I'm either super lucky or I write the wrong code somewhere. Yeah. All right. Let me let me stop this. Let me figure out where I went wrong. I'm getting too lucky. All right. So if direction is equal to bad tunnel. All right. So should we go right or left? Right. And the tunnels were right or left. So all right, we need to fix some things here. If direction is equal to bad tunnel, right? Bad tunnel, random choice. Wonder what direction is. Let me take a look. Direction is equal to, should we go left or right? I wonder what bad tunnel gives me if I print it out, right? If I print out bad tunnel, that might give me what that value is, right? And I'll even print out direction just to see what this gives me. I gotta run back through it. It's not gonna take as long because I'm just running to the very first iteration of it. But what's your name? I don't care. Yeah, ADSF. Okay. So as we go through this, basically, the reason I'm printing these out is because I'm trying to figure out like what's actually giving me bad tunnel here. So be very careful. I want to see what the value of bad tunnel is that I'm choosing. Will you help me? Yes. All right, let's do this. I see a cave. Should we go in? Yes. Normally to Hungry Dragon. I release a treasure. Should we go right or left? Oh, dang it. I should have printed this before the if. I gotta wait again. See, this is part of the debugging process. You're looking through this, and I went over and above what the project description is or what I need to accomplish here, but I'm just doing it this way because I wanted to create a cool game. If you look at the project description, right, all you have to do is just go through one time, right, and then say if the user wants to play again. I'm being creative, right, and I'm setting number of lives or gold or will you help me? Yes. You only need to do it this many steps. I see a cave. Should we go in? Yes. There are two tunnels. One will lead to a hungry dragon. The other will lead us to treasure. Should we go right or left? Right. So it looks like the bad tunnel was right. And my direction was printed as it says the bad tunnel was left. Should we go in? Yes. There are two tunnels. Right. I wonder why it always says the bad tunnel is left. Should we go in? Yes. There are two tunnels. It's always saying this bad tunnel is left. So let me type in left and see let's see if it's actually wrong. I see a cave. Should we go in? Yes. 2 tunnels. One will lead to Hungry Dragon. Earliest treasure. Say left. One of the dragon this tunnel. Okay. Module rand has no attribute int. Random dot rand int. Okay. So every single time it kept picking left. Okay. Random choice. So, I'm not sure why it kept picking left every single time, over and over and over again. I'm going to try and figure this out. Now, once I figure it out, I'm going to stop this video and then I'm going to figure it out and then I'll finish it. All right, so I played around with this and I'm not entirely sure why all of a sudden, like if you look through it, I actually did get a dragon eventually. I wasn't sure why, I had such a low percentage of getting a dragon. But like if I take this out here, one thing I also saw when I finally did get the dragon, it said we have this many gold. Took that away, right? And I could say, I'll just copy this, right? Copy, and I'll paste this right here. Say we now have this much gold. Okay, and I'll say I also need to pay the dragon. Like I'll act like I pay the dragon. So say pays dragon. All right, so let's run through this. Like I said, maybe this will work. What's your name? Mr. Danza. That's a lot, Mr. Danza. They may hear you. Let's go to a safe place. There's some things I need to tell you about. Okay, we're good now. Up ahead, there are several caves. In each cave, there is treasure. But dragons also live inside of caves, so we have to be very careful. Many of my friends have been eaten by dragons. Will you help me? Yes. Okay, let's do this. See a cave. Should we go in? Yes. 2 tunnels. One will lead to a hungry dragon. The other will lead to treasure. Right? Should we go right or left? Right. There's treasure in this tunnel. Let's see if I actually continue this positive trend. Let's keep going. Yes. There's something else I want to show you, like if you put no, and then being able to present the treasure, how much treasure you got. Should we go to the right? Let's keep going right. Oh no, there's a dragon in this tunnel. The dragon wants 9 gold coins. We have 14. Pays dragon. I should probably say like we should now, or we now have 5 gold. Okay, gotcha. Just into the time.sleep. Okay. So if I were to say like I wanted to leave, right? Should we go home? Yes. Okay, let's leave, right? So I can say something like inside quotation marks. Leaves with gold, a string, gold, gold coins. Take away one of these. Alright. So let's see where I'm at here. What's your name? Mr. Danza. So, wow, Mr. Danza, they may hear you. Let's go to a safe place. There's some things I need to tell you about. Okay, we're good now. Up ahead, there are several caves. In each cave, there is treasure, but dragons also live inside of caves, so we have to be very careful. Many of our friends have been eaten by dragons. Will you help me? Yes. Okay, let's do this. It wasn't a very good proposal. Hey, a lot of my friends are eaten by dragons. Want to come with me? Should we go in? Yeah, sure. There are 2 tunnels. One will lead to a hungry dragon. That will lead us to treasure. Should we go right or left? Let's go right. Treasure. Oh, there's a dragon in this tunnel. Dragon wants 1 gold coins. We have 10 gold. Pays dragon. We now have 9. So maybe after I pay him, right? Where's he? Pays dragon. We now have this much gold. And then we can say, hurry. Let's get out of here and look for another cave. This guy is relentless. He's been, let's go look for another cave. Time dot sleep, right? I see a cave. Should we go in? Yeah, it just kicked me out. It's like, oh, what did you just do? All right, created by Mr. Danza. Welcome to our waltz. My name is Harry. What's your name? Mr. Danza. So allow Mr. Danza. He may hear you. Let's go to a safe place. There's some things we need to tell you about. Okay, we're good now. Ahead there are several caves, blah, 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 blah. We've gone through this several times before. Let's be very careful. Many of my friends have got eaten by dragons. Will you help me? Yes. Okay, let's do this. I see a cave. Should we go in? Yes. There are 2 tunnels. One leads to a hungry dragon. The other leads to treasure. Let's go right. Treasure. Yes. Let's go. 6 gold coins. We now have 16 gold. Let's keep going. I see a cave. Should we go in? Yeah, let's do it. There are 2 tunnels. Should we go right or left? Let's go right. Oh no, there's a dragon in this tunnel. It wants 5 gold coins. We have 16. We pay the dragon off, and now we have 11. Alright, look for another cave. I see a cave. Should we go in? No, let's go home. Should we go home? If you say no again, it says let's just look for another cave. I see a cave. Should we go home? Or should we go in? No. Should we go home? Yes. Leaves with, okay, let's leave. Leaves with 11 gold coins. Okay, so maybe I'll add time dot sleep to getting close to the end of this game here. Okay. Alright, so let's see how much, let's see where my stopping point is. Alright, I think I'm good. Let's see. Hopefully I don't hit any errors here. That's the thing. You might play this game several times, and then all of a sudden, the 5th time, get an error. And be like, oh my gosh. Or I might end this video and then play it tomorrow and realize I messed up somewhere. So I think it looks pretty good as is, but I'm sure there's things I could tighten up. Will you help me? That's what happens if I say no right away. Well, then get out of here before it's too late. Mr. Danza ran away scared. Alright, so that was one way. It's always good to test out every single possible option. We're not going to go through every option. I'm going to go ahead and see how much gold I can get. See how close I can run this. Okay, we're good now. See how, like that first round, I'm not sure what was happening. I'm not sure what was going on, but it like all of a sudden stopped. It started working the other way. Will you help me? Yes. Let's do this. I see a cave. Should we go in? Yes. I'm gonna lead to a hungry dragon that will lead us to treasure. Should we go right or left? Right. Oh no, there's a dragon in this tunnel. The dragon was 4 gold coins. We have 10. Pay his dragon. We now have 6. Hurry, let's get out of here. I see a cave. Should we go in? Let's do it. There are 2 tunnels. Let's go right. No dragon, no dragon, no dragon. There's treasure. 10 gold coins. Let's do this. Let's go. We now have 16. Let's keep going. Keep rolling. Should we go in? Yes. There are 2 tunnels. Okay. Let's go right again. There's a dragon waiting in there for me. And the dragon wants 10 gold coins. We have 16. Pay the dragon. We now have 6. Alright. I'm going to push my luck one more time. Last time. Should we go in? Yes. Let's go right in. So a problem that I see is, there's a dragon in this tunnel. The dragon only wants 1 gold coin. We have 6. Alright. So I'm going to run away. I see a cave. Should we go in? Nope. Should we go home? Yes. Yeah, that's like these with 5 gold coins. Alright, so here's a problem that I see. Alright, so where's this at? Here's the problem. If I type something that like in this else right here, it's going to say if direction is the bad tunnel. But like if I type in like R or like P or something like that, it's automatically going to send that to else. Okay? Meaning like I didn't understand what you were saying. So like I kind of want like before even runs, right? I can say like if direction is not equal to right and direction is not equal to left. So basically, if it's not equal to either of those, then I'm going to print out I couldn't now say like let's go to a different tunnel. I'll say time dot sleep 2 seconds here, and then I'll say time dot sleep 2 seconds here. And there's always ways, not 20. There's always ways I can make this game better. Basically, what I was saying was like, look, like the direction wasn't one of these, right? And I'll say maybe I'll just make this an LF, okay? And then I'll throw this a continue, right? So that will send me back up to that again. So if direction is not equal to right or left, right? Okay, and the reason I have and there, so it's not right and it's not left, okay, then it's gonna be like, I don't understand you. Let's try that one time. What's going on? Refresh. Hopefully my code just saved. Oh boy. All right. I think it did. Let's run. Create by Mr. Danza. My name is Harry. What's your name? My name is Mr. Danza. All right. So I'm going to test out what happens if I don't type in right or left. Like, let's say I type in, I don't know, I spell something wrong. I spell like let instead of left, right? Will you help me? Yes. I see a cave. Should we go in? Yes. There are 2 tunnels. Let's say I just say L. I can't understand. I see a cave. Should we go in? Yes. There are 2 tunnels. One will lead to a hungry dragon. The other will lead us to treasure. Let's go left this time. There's treasure in this tunnel. There are 5 gold coins. You now have 15. Awesome. So I'll say we now have gold coins. $15 gold coins. Should we go in? Yes, let's do it. There are 2 tunnels. One will lead to a hungry dragon. The other will lead us to treasure. Should we go right or left? Let's go right this time. The dragon in the tunnel only wants 5 coins. We have 15. We pay the dragon. Now we only have 10. Alright, let's go ahead and look from the cave. I see a cave. Should we go in? Nope. Should we go home? Yes. Okay, that's it. These are 10 gold coins. That's my game as far as I'm going to go. That's above, way above the expectations for what you guys are supposed to do in this project. Let me go ahead here and just show you. See, I was like looking, I was like, what's going on with the random? And there really wasn't anything going on there. Let me just walk through here. It says randomly and secretly set which tunnel has the treasure, which we did. You don't have to keep track of score or anything like that. I added coins, right? Keep track of score, number of coins. I did that. You change the storyline if you want, or set a number of lives. When you're done, go through these questions. It says you're encouraged to add on to this project beyond the project specifications if you would like. Open a new project, a new Google Doc, and name it Dragon Adventure Project. Okay. And take screenshots of your code, the code editor, and your code's output. I don't know if I necessarily need to see your output, but from your Python project, paste your screenshots in your Google Doc. Optionally, recreate your game in Scratch if you would like. Answer the following questions. What's the difference between a break and continue? Break breaks you out of the loop. Continue sends you right back up to the top of the loop. What are some differences between while and for loops in Python? While loops require an increment variable set ahead of time and then being able to increment it inside that while loop. For loops usually, I was able to write this for loop in 2 lines of code, and it was just easier for me to do. I used the range function, and eventually for loops will be really good with lists as well. Okay, give an example of conditionals. Those are my if, elif, and else statements. Iteration, my while true loops, delay, my time.sleep. Watch these videos. You find that you're going to answer what's the difference between a label and an entry. Okay. You're going to answer pack method, title method, get method, configure method. Those are all the answers are in this playlist right here. I'll include that playlist link in the description too, in the video description. At the very end, submit your project, some FAQs. Do I need to watch the TK Intro videos this week? Yes, you do. We're going to be talking about TK Intro next week. Do I need to use TK Intro in my Dragon Adventure project? No, I don't expect you to. Okay, you don't really need to. Just write it the way I wrote it. I know this was like a lot. Like if you want to look at my code, like I said, I can put the code in a link afterwards, but maybe make it more interesting. Maybe you only start with 5 pieces of gold. Maybe I entirely lost you in this game. You had no idea what I was doing. Okay, you don't have to add gold. You don't have to add as many loops as I did. You can make your story right to the point. Right. So that's at least where I started. If you have questions with it, let me know.